When Enzo Maresca joined Chelsea, there were a lot of questions around his abilities as a manager.
I'm getting a real feeling that this is an underwhelming appointment.
He might be more of a yes man than Pochettino. He won't object if Egbali turns up at the training ground every day.
Despite his success with Leicester, some fans weren't convinced.
They won the championship and were still criticising the way they play. But it's a bit boring, and I don't think that's what Chelsea's looking for.
The only thing Premier League fans knew about the Italian was that he spent time as one of Pep's assistant coaches.
No disrespect to Enzo, I don't know him at that level. I'm not sure if anyone does.
So how exactly has Maresca transformed Chelsea from a team that was considered to be one of the least exciting teams
After this young, exciting team that could be. It's not a young and exciting team.
to one of the very best attacking sides in the Premier League?
Neto, nobody tracked him. He's going to have a go! Still going. Cole Palmer! Nicholas Jackson, brilliantly put away.
If you do the right thing inside the pitch, probably everything around the club calm down.
When you join a massive club like Chelsea, there are high expectations.
This job requires almost not 24 hours, but more or less.
There is pressure not just to perform on the pitch, but to be able to handle the situations that arise off the pitch.
Especially at the beginning, there were many noises around the club, but I always said that if you want to be focused on that side, you waste energy.
The squad is young.
Top of the league here. For youngest team in the league.
A big difference between the
2 years.
first and
2 years.
And the club is infamous for having a short leash for managers.
We are in a transition period. We are trying to build something important, not for this season, but for the next 5 years.
But while the world might have doubted Maresca, he was confident in his own ability. He had begun his managerial career at Ascoli. Yes, back then he had hair.
In that time, I was long hair, so you can understand how many years ago.
He started out officially being appointed the assistant coach because he did not have the required coaching badges at the time. But even though he was technically second in command, he was respected by everyone. Even that early in his managerial career, his principles were obvious. He wanted to dominate possession, maneuver the opposition into traps, then take advantage of the open spaces at speed. Maresca's name began to pick up even more buzz among managers when he joined Manuel Pellegrini's backroom staff at West Ham.
Pellegrini has been a big part in my decision to try to be manager. I try to learn things from him, especially the relation that he has with players. That is a fantastic relation because it's very close.
Pellegrini had coached Maresca at Malaga, so he was aware of the Italian's footballing IQ. Funny enough, back in 2019, West Ham shocked Chelsea by beating them 1-0, a win that was masterminded by Maresca, who had taken over training from Pellegrini in the lead up to the game. Just like his time in Italy, Maresca was respected by the West Ham players, and according to The Guardian, they enjoyed his training sessions. So when City were looking for a new under-23s manager, it seemed that Maresca was the perfect candidate. In fact, according to The Athletic, City sporting director Tiki wanted to pair Maresca with Pep, as he saw the Italian as a strong candidate to potentially succeed Pep in the future. It turned out to be the right decision, as Maresca led City to the club's first ever Premier League 2 title. Reports indicated that Maresca and Pep were in close contact in the 2021 season, partly due to the pandemic.
Working alongside Pep has been fantastic for 2 years, because even when I was with under 23, I was very close.
It is said that Maresca was the first under 23s boss to really make a connection with Guardiola. Due to their shared vision of the game, the two spoke a lot. A ton of football knowledge between them, not a lot of hair. In fact, The Athletic believes that the movement of a fullback into midfield was a theory that both Maresca and Pep discussed, as Maresca used that tactic with the under-23s at the same time that Pep began using Cancelo in the same way.
Of course, Enzo Maresca last season made an incredible job with these players, incredible job. I know it because we were together training many times and I saw them.
After a season with City, Maresca was picked up by Parma. He only spent one season there as well though, before he returned to City, this time as an assistant to Pep as part of his first team staff. It was a perfect partnership. Maresca was addicted to the game, just like Pep.
Work ethic, exactly.
That of a beast.
In terms of, he spent many hours.
Even compared to you?
Yes.
Reports indicated that Maresca studies managers and their playing styles from around the world, using folders on his laptop to keep track of teams that he thinks have been playing well or are worthy of further investigation, with a particular focus on patterns of play and modern tactical trends.
His whole method, it was like a numbers thing, so not just where the numbers are, where the overloads are.
Both during his time at City and at Leicester, players made it clear that Maresca was able to quickly and effectively get his ideas across.
Maresca has got his method. This is exactly how he wants to work. This is a proven method that he's studied over years and years of even when he was playing and into his coaching.
With all of this experience, combined with his title-winning season at Leicester, Maresca felt prepared to take on the challenge of managing Chelsea.
But it has been quite easy to decide to join this club because it's a huge club, for me one of the best or important club in the world.
Maresca's time with Pep clearly influenced him massively because just like Pep, Maresca came in with a plan and made it obvious who was not a part of his team going forward.
In this moment, they are training apart. As I said already the other day, the situation with both of them is quite clear.
Pep, when he came to Barca, immediately got rid of Ronaldinho and Deco. Then at City, got rid of Joe Hart. Good players objectively, but they didn't fit into Pep's vision. Maresca did the same to Chilwell, Sterling, and Chalobah. On one hand, you can argue that it's harsh, coming in and immediately telling players that they have no chance of making it into the first team.
I spoke with Raheem before City game. He's going to struggle to get minutes with us, and this is the reason why he was out of the squad.
But on the other hand, it directly helps everyone involved. The players knew where they stood, and the club was able to bring in players that actually suited the way Maresca wants to play. That's why Sterling was sent to Arsenal and was replaced by Jadon Sancho, a player who Maresca had a vision for.
As I said, I know Jadon very good because I watched him many times in the past.
One of Maresca's principles is to use width to create space. He wants his wingers to stay as wide as possible. This creates a lot of space in the center channels of the midfield, as seen from the goals the Blues scored against the Wolves. Those open spaces in the middle can be occupied by either Palmer or Jackson. The whole time the wingers stay wide, giving outlets for a switch in play. If the ball is switched, then the wingers will find themselves in 1v1 situations. And when you have players like Madueke, Pedro Neto, and Sancho, you know you will be the winner of most of those 1v1 duels. This can really disorganize the opposition and create space in areas where normally it would be very crowded. Another one of Maresca's core principles is to have a numerical advantage in key areas of the pitch. He achieves this through inverted fullbacks, overloading the middle of the park.
Bring the fullback inside when we have the ball, because the idea is to have an overload in the middle, extra player in the middle.
Often either Cucurella or Gusto inverts into the midfield next to the holding midfielder, in this case Caicedo, freeing up space for someone like Enzo to push further up the pitch. This changes the team shape to a 3-2-5, creating a box in the midfield. Against teams that defend with 3 players in the center of the pitch, Chelsea will have a one-man advantage. Of course, the downside to this is that a lot of teams apply intense man-to-man pressure, which can cause defensive errors. To combat this, Maresca has instructed his goalie to be much more active in the build-up process.
Then when we try to play here and they are a little bit more aggressive, we need to come back with the keeper.
It is not uncommon to see the keeper advancing higher than normal to receive a pass or initiating a quick counterattack.
In this case, if this player drop here, the keeper is dropping in is going the opposite side.
So if the opposition decides to go to a man-to-man press, the back 3 will stretch and the goalkeeper will come in on the opposite side of whichever center back has the ball. That creates an 11 versus 10 situation, so once again Chelsea have the numerical advantage. Having an inverted fullback has probably helped Caicedo more than any other player. Under Pochettino, Caicedo would often find himself alone in the middle of the park. With the fullbacks hugging the sidelines and Enzo pushing more forward, he had too much ground to cover on his own and nobody was really close to him when he got the ball. But now, depending on who inverts in, Caicedo has either Cucurella next to him or Gusto. This also explains why Maresca didn't have faith in Chilwell.
Probably one of the quality for sure that he has to be able technically and be able to play in the traffic.
Gusto and Cucurella are much better on the ball and in tight spaces, which is exactly what he wanted to see from his fullbacks. The only way the opposition can really combat this is to go even more aggressive in their pressure and push more players up the pitch. But obviously this results in much more gaps behind the back line, which Chelsea can take advantage of with long balls in behind.
For the opponent is good because they can be more aggressive, but in the same time for us can be good because we are 1v1 winger. In both sides, we have 1v1 number 9, and we have 4 against 4 in the middle, bringing out of his position the central defender. That it's never easy for a central defender.
Chelsea love to target the spaces in behind and can create deadly 1v1 or 2v2 scenarios with long balls. The inverted fullbacks also help Chelsea defensively against transitions. With an inverted fullback, if Chelsea lose the ball, there are 5 players ready to defend.
In the moment that we lose the ball, we have 5 players defending the transition.
The players are also closer together, so when they regain possession, they can transition quickly to a counterattack. We have already seen Chelsea forcing errors from the opposition by pressing them quickly. The biggest issue that Chelsea face right now is against teams that don't want to press. Teams that are more than happy to stay compact and defend in a low block.
The opponent, they drop number 9 and number 10. So they do like this and like this. 4 against 4 in the middle. That, yes, become more difficult for us because there are no space that we can exploit here.
When teams overload the central zones, it limits Maresca's +1 numerical advantage philosophy. To solve this, Maresca relies on technically gifted players that can operate in tight spaces. Players like Sancho and Palmer. Sancho showed against Bournemouth when he came on how to unlock a low block as he found an opening to play Nkunku through for the winner. Palmer is unbelievable. Not only can he create chances against low blocks, but he can also initiate counterattacking opportunities with his long passing. He can also be the one scoring the chances. He flourishes in the pockets of space that is created from the overload. One player that has really benefited from Maresca's system is Madueke. His speed, ball carrying, and 1v1 ability is essential in breaking down teams. The more Madueke progresses forward, the more it forces the opponents to commit players to close them down. This frees up space for the other players and drags players out of the middle, allowing players like Jackson and Palmer to occupy those spaces. Sometimes Madueke even comes inward, creating space for Palmer to overlap him. Once Madueke realizes the damage he can do by being less selfish and making the right decisions when he does run at teams, Chelsea's attack is going to be unstoppable. Speaking of Jackson, he is another player that has flourished under the Italian manager. He's actually perfect for Maresca's system, because he has the ability to drop deep as a +1 in midfield and provide support to the build-up.
9 dropping give us the chance to connect with him and to set the ball with the 2 on the midfielder, or if he's dropping too much, we can play with him and set the ball with the attacking midfielder ready to attack.
You see, when Chelsea are playing against a low block 4-4-2, initially in the first stage of the build-up, the inverted fullback gives them a numerical advantage. But they lose their numerical advantage in the center of the park. The 2 central midfielders, plus the 2 strikers, match Enzo, Palmer, Caicedo, and whichever of the fullbacks is inverted. To combat this, Jackson has to drop deeper into the midfield to give Chelsea an advantage numerically again, this time a 5v4. If one of the central defenders follows Jackson into the midfield, then that leaves the wingers isolated on the fullbacks, which is exactly what Maresca wants. Because like I said, when you have players like Sancho, Pedro Neto, Madueke running at the opposition fullback, if you do that enough times during a game, you know those wingers are going to get the better of the fullback at least one time, and that's all you need, one opportunity. Jackson's work rate is also essential for the way that Chelsea want to start pressing from the front. The difference between Pochettino's Chelsea and Maresca's Chelsea is honestly night and day. In the 2024 season, Chelsea lost 3-1 to West Ham. But in 2025, they dominated the Hammers 3-0. It's still early days, but there's a structure in place. The players know where their next pass is supposed to go to. This is a young squad who still needs time to adjust fully to the new system. There will be some games where Chelsea will look unstoppable, and others where it will look ugly. They will make mistakes, but they will also give you moments of magic. That is both the beauty and despair of having a young team. Given the way the Blues were talked about in the beginning of the season, they are already beating all expectations. And when you talk about being better than expectations, there's no one that comes to mind quicker than Cole Palmer. The Englishman has taken his game to another level, and to see just how beautiful his rise has been, you have to check out this video right here.